Hey everyone, Carrington here from Firm Foundation Family Services. I'm here today to give you 3 questions to ask a potential therapist to decide if that therapist is the right one for you to work with. I would highly encourage that you ask some questions to help you make an informed decision so that you can be well equipped to know whether this is a therapist that will be a good fit. One question I would start with is, how do you describe your approach to your work? It's a pretty broad question. It leaves a lot of leeway for a therapist to share something about themselves, but that'll give you a lot of information about their approach, about what they think is important to consider. When potential clients ask me that question, I'm always sure to mention my biblical worldview, not to evangelize to them, but to help them understand this is where my understanding of human nature and human problems and human suffering and healing, where that all comes from and what informs my approach. I also will talk about the fact that I'm a marriage and family therapist, which means I take a relational approach. I often work with multiple people at the same time. Even when I'm working with an individual, I will still take into account the important relationships in their lives, the context of their life, how what's going on for them internally has an impact on the way they engage with the world and the people around them. So those are important things for potential clients to know about me, and equally important for you to know about a therapist that you are considering working with. Another question I would recommend asking is, what do you think is your primary job as a therapist? We live in an age where therapy is really becoming a commercial um, uh, product. It's becoming a commodity, and people are buying it and selling it. Um, Based on making people happy or fitting into their tight schedules and making it a convenience product. Um, I personally find that troubling. I don't think that's really putting the client's best interests at heart, because in my mind, therapy really is about helping our clients become healthier, not necessarily happier or more comfortable in the moment. But those would be important things for you to understand as a potential client, to know, well, what does this therapist want from me? What is it that they see as important to this work that we do together? Finally, a question that I would suggest you ask is, what will be required of me as a client? Therapy is not just about the service provided by the therapist, it's about the engagement of the client themselves. And so some therapists will give homework, some therapists will assign reading or worksheets to be done. Others will just be a little more flexible with, hey, why don't you set up a date night this week, or do whatever it is that addresses what's going on in the session. There will often be work outside of the session. Apart from actual homework, there's also how mentally engaged in this are you as a client? Are you willing to come and do hard work and engage in difficult conversations or uncomfortable conversations for your own well being? Um, that would be helpful for you to know up front and to make that decision about who is a good fit for you. One question that I don't recommend you ask, or if you ask it, I mean, you're certainly allowed to take the answer with a grain of salt, and that is, how long is this going to take? Um, that is a pretty unanswerable question, especially before the work has even started. Um, I have had clients come for 2 sessions and walk away and say, you know what, hey, that was really helpful. I just needed a little pick me up. And I have clients that I've worked with for over 2 years. I don't know which one you're going to be before you walk in the door. And often things are discovered in the process of therapy. And that's an opportunity for the client to decide, do I want to dig into that? Do I want to continue exploring that? Or do I want to kind of set that aside and just work on a small fragment of these things? Those are decisions that you can make along the way, but there's no way for a therapist to know ahead of time what kind of client you're going to be, and how much time you're going to need. If that question comes from a place of anxiety around finances or around scheduling, bring that to the surface. It's okay to say to a therapist, I'm a little concerned about the financial obligations here. Is there a way that you can work with me? Or I'm a little concerned about the time that this is going to take out of my schedule. Can we address that, or can you help me understand how to make sense of this? If you can't talk about awkward things with your therapist, then where are you going to talk about them? So I highly recommend bringing concerns like that to the table so that your therapist is informed about what's on your mind, in the same way that you're trying to get informed about what's on theirs. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this encourages you to be an active and engaged participant in your own therapy work. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye bye.